So this is what the box looks like. FairRC packaging, clean, no damage on mine. Let's see what's inside. I'm getting a fan of the FairRC mods. I really like what they are doing and how all the trucks are looking. So let's see how the new Stepside truck is looking. All right, a nice candy red cab, I would say, and we get the usual MG44 controller. I really like this one. It's a small, compact, but packed with features. You also get an instruction manual how to assemble the car. You get a sticker sheet, or a few sticker sheets, a FairRC card, and then the instruction itself for the K10 car. Now to the Stepside. The two-tone is even better in person, I would say. If you have checked the car out on the FairRC homepage, you see the red and black two-tone paint, but I would say that the paint looks even better in person. That metallic red against the charcoal, it photographs well, but in your hand, it's another level. Now, let me show you what actually makes this version different. This is the Stepside bed. 3D printed resin from FairRC, and they warranty it, which matters. So this is what we have been waiting for all this month, and as you can see, the bed looks really good. I really like how they made the bed. The functioning rear lights. See the cutouts in the fenders? That's what makes it a Stepside. On a real truck, that space was used as a step to get up into the bed. On the standard K10 ready to run that ships from FMS, you get a fleet side, a flat bed and full width. This configuration is rare and it looks period correct. And here you see we have a functioning rear tailgate, which is awesome. It opens and closes like that, so you get the real working hinges. That's not a common feature at this scale. Functional tailgate 3 positions on the spare mount 2. So we can mount it in 3 different positions here to get the CG where you want and make it as good as you want it to. Out of the box, you're running Batrazzi hardware. These are the 1.2-inch Outrider ZR tires on CNC beadlock wheels. And you also get a real working beadlock as a spare, although they have left the brass ring out so you don't have so much weight at the back. That is for the performance side of it. If you followed my FCX24M content, you know Batrazzi. This is their upgrade tier wheel and the tire setup. The fact that it comes pre-installed is meaningful inclusion at this price point. You're not buying stock plastic and then spending more to upgrade. What's else in the box? As I say, you get the real fifth wheel with the brass ring, so you can switch it out if something breaks or if you want to change things up. You get the rear bumper that you mount like that. It's a clean bumper that is tucked, so you don't have a really wide rear end, which is really good for the performance side of it, but it also looks really good, I would say. And then you get a light bar that you will mount by yourself, but it's pre-cut holes, and you get the hardware included, so you can mount it to your bed to suit the vehicle. So either you have it on or you're driving without the light bar. But I will be mounting it because I think it looks really, really good. And here you have the most satisfying part, to take away the plastic on a new car. You get the roll cage, it ships uninstalled, you mount it yourself. Rear bumper, also uninstalled. Body sticker sheet. You'll need a 2mm Phillips and a 1.5mm hex to put the extras together. It takes about 10 minutes, manual is clear. As I say, you have the manual here, so you can mount the spare wheel, but also the light bar and the rear bumper. And underneath the cab, you have a driver in the driver's seat and also full interior. And you have a real side mirror on both sides. Little details like that matters at this scale, it sells the realism. Let's talk about what's actually under this body. This runs on the FCX18 chassis. If you've seen my LC80 version 2 videos, you know this platform well. It got solid axles, front and rear. It has a 4-link suspension, oil-filled shocks, front and rear, which is really smooth and controlled. It has metal bearings throughout and a 2-speed transmission. Low speed for technical crawling and high speed for trail running. And one other thing is that it has the portal axles, which increases the ground clearance underneath the truck. The 2-speed is one of the things I genuinely like about this platform. And here you can see the transmission. The shift servo is here. And then we have a... It's hard to show you, but here you have the transmission. It's a small footprint for the 2-speed that it actually is. So it's a really good and superb feature of this truck. Now the motor. This runs on a high torque 180 brushed motor. So it's not brushless, but in certain circumstances I perhaps like the brushed more, since you can change the drag brake on the fly and so on, that you really can do on the brushless setups that you have here, for example. And that's worth talking about honestly. At $260 you might expect brushless. FairRC does make a brushless version of the LC80, I have covered that. This K10 Stepside is the brushed version. But as I say, I don't really mind it because I think the brushed motors and the ESCs today is really good. So you don't really need a brushless if you are honest. What does that mean for you? Less top end speed, slightly less efficiency. But for a 1/18th scale crawler doing technical terrain, the torque from the 180 brush is more than adequate. You're not buying this to race. And yeah, that is my honest opinion, that you don't need a really fast brushless setup, because these vehicles aren't supposed to drive like 25 miles per hour. You're buying it because it looks like this. Now, the approach angle. 70 degrees up front and 40 degrees departure. Ground clearance is 40 millimeters. And that is because we have the portal axles and quite high setup here. So you get a lot of ground clearance. I've measured it now, so I would say you have 40 millimeter ground clearance at the skid plate, and you get 30 millimeter of ground clearance here at the portal axles. And as I say, you have a really good approach angle, although the hitch mount is the lowest part of the body when you have the rear bumper mounted. If you remove this, you have a lot better approach angle. And the descent angle is quite good, since we don't have a lot of overhang, and the front bumper is quite low profile, so you have a lot of a descent angle before you get stuck on the actual bumper. And as I said, the portal axles is what give you that clearance. And for a 1/18 scale truck, that is a solid setup. Remote range is listed at 100 meters, and that is more than adequate. The included transmitter is basic but functional. If you already run FMS or FairRC vehicles, the transmitter will feel familiar, since it's the MG44 version 6, like usual. And as I say, I really like this controller. It's small and fits really well in my hand, at least. It's well built and it does exactly what it needs to do. You have the control for the lights, you have the control for the high and low speed right near your thumb here, so it's really easy to switch from high to low. That is really nice. And then you have the drag brake here. So 0%, 50%, 75%, and then 100%. So, and this, the number 1 is if you want to have a brake. That means that forward, then brake and release, and then reverse. But if you have it on like this, then you have forward speed but no brake. So if you reverse it, the motor will immediately stop and then start to reverse right away. And that is the thing that makes the crawlers really responsive and really easy and fun to drive, when you have the reverse right away, so you can stop and then start to reverse immediately. What I would actually upgrade first on this truck, yeah, I don't know. I have driven it a bit outside, and if we compare it to a LC80, you see that the K10 is a lot longer. The longer wheelbase makes it a lot better in the crawling side of it. I would say that the K10 is more capable than the LC80, since we don't have the short wheelbase as we have on the LC80. And the LC80 body is more top heavy than the K10 is. So what's the first upgrade? Yeah, the first upgrade is already done here. We have a brass 1.2 wheel with the Outrider tires, and I will say that these tires, I am really pleased with them. It's my first time trying them out, and I really like how they grip up and how they feel and look on the vehicle. But if I would say anything on this particular variant, since as I say, we already have the upgraded wheels and tires. If you buy a stock K10, then I would say the tires is the number 1 option all days of the week. But now, perhaps portals, front outer portals, to make the CG move down and make it a bit more front heavy. Alright, let's actually drive this thing. I took it out to drive onto some different parts of my RC course. You have some rock crawling and a bit of a trail drive as well. The different handling characteristics of it. Here I'm dropping into low speed for this section. You can hear the motor note change. That's the 2-speed engaging. Traction is good. The Outrider ZR tires are doing their job. In high speed it moves, not fast by RC standards, but confident. For trail running, this is exactly what you want. Responsive, predictable, the wheelbase feels planted. This platform handles exactly how I expected, which is a good thing. The FCX18 chassis has a track record on this channel, I know what it can do. What surprised me is how much better this truck looks in motion. The step-side proportions on camera, moving on terrain, it reads like a scale model, not a toy. So, is the FairRC K10 Stepside mod worth $260? If you're looking for a performer, the standard K10 ready to run from FMS gets you the same chassis for less, but you get a really good looking truck, and you have some upgrades already. You have the brass wheels and the new tires. So if you would buy the stock vehicle, you get the fleet side bed and plastic wheels. So what you're buying here is the build, the step side bed, the Batrazzi wheels, the two-tone paint. FairRC built something that looks like a collector's piece and runs like a trail truck. For me, that combination works. There isn't another 1/18th scale step-side K10 on the market right now. If that matters to you, the price is justified. If it doesn't, save the money, run the standard K10. Difference toward Batrazzi upgrades. A few things I'd change, that is to use black resin for the 3D prints. Now it's white resin with black paint on it. I would change the holes on the roll cage. I would make them a tiny bit bigger, so the screw engagement is more likable. But this paint, this bed, I'm keeping it exactly as it came. If you want to see what this truck looks like after a full Batrazzi upgrade treatment, drop a comment down below and let me know. That would be a good follow-up series. Link to the Stepside mod is in the description. FairRC ships to most of Europe and North America. If this video helped you, subscribe. I cover 1/18th scale and 1/24 scale crawlers in detail. And there's a lot more coming on this platform. See you in the next one. Bye.